Welcome to the Goal and Vision Workshop with ABN. My name is Kerry Riley and I am a wellness and practice growth expert. I'm going to be taking you through some slides and I'm going to be asking you to do some activities. At certain points during this video, I'm going to ask you to pause it and then come back on for the next section. If you've not already printed out the workbook, then just pause this video and print that out for me. And if you're ready, we're going to begin. So if you look at the first page of the workbook, I want you to write down for me in your own words what your definition of a goal is. I'm going to give you a few moments to do that. Okay, so if we look at the different definitions of a goal, so for example, a goal without a plan is just a wish. A goal is a dream with a deadline. Or a goal is something that you aim for that takes planning and work. Goal setting is an effective way to achieve something, to build self-esteem, to build self-confidence, and to improve your health or your life. Now, hopefully you've got something similar to that written down in your own words, obviously, but it means different things to all of us. And I'm sure that if I asked all of you to tell me in your own words what you thought it was, everybody would come up with something different. Because it can also be this. It can sometimes be something that we achieve without realizing it, something that we do and then we don't even realize that that was one of our goals. It can be something that we do on our own, something that we do as a team, or something that we do as a company, or something that we do as a family. Goals look different to all of us. And that's why it's really important to remember that whatever our goals and visions are, they're for us. So I want to take you through what an actual goal is in terms of Wikipedia or the dictionary or wherever you look for the definition of a goal. So it's an intention for the future. It's a desired result that you're envisioning, that you can plan and that you can commit to achieve. So there are a few stages that we go through while we're doing the goal. So first there's the intention. What is it that you want to achieve? And then there's the visualization. What does that result look like? And then the plan, how am I going to get there? And what am I going to do to ensure that I'm committed to achieving it? Why do we need goals? So goals give us direction. They help us focus. They trigger new behaviors, especially if that goal is something new or a new habit that we want to achieve. And they help us sustain momentum in life. When we have a goal that we want to achieve, we tend to sometimes tunnel vision towards that goal, and that's the only thing that we want to achieve. And that builds momentum within us. My little boy comes home from school every day, and I have a list waiting for him. And it's things that he needs to achieve before he can either play on his computer or go out to play. And he knows that once that list is done, then he's got his free time. When I don't do him that list, he'll come upstairs and I'll go, "Mummy, where's my list?" Because he's got into that habit of knowing that once he's achieved everything, that is his goal for him to do whatever he wants to do. So it's really important that we have a plan of how we're going to get there. Now, as human beings, this also has an effect on us. It affects our behavior, our performance. It can create energy and excitement. It can help us develop strategies that will enable us to perform at a rate to achieve that goal. When we accomplish that goal, it can be really satisfying to know that we've achieved it. And sometimes when we don't achieve it, it gives us that motivation to achieve it. For instance, when we're trying to lose weight, we have a goal in mind. This is how much weight we want to lose. And how we're going to do that by losing so much each week. And how are we going to track that? We're going to track every week how much we've lost. And what are we going to do if we've not lost the weight that we want to? Are we going to go back, look at the plan and readjust it? Are we going to add more workouts in to help with that losing weight? You go through a process, you create a plan, and you commit to achieving it. And just as we do with our personal goals, we should do this with our work goals as well. So it's really important that you know what you want to achieve, how you're going to get there, and what the end result looks like. So if we look at how a goal is structured and what the characteristics of the goal are. Desire. We need to have a desire for that goal. It's no good somebody saying to us, oh, you need to achieve X, Y, and Z. Because if you're not passionate about it or you don't have a desire, then you're not going to achieve it. Imaginable. You need to be able to see what that end result looks like. You know, what's the reward at the end of it? What can you imagine happening? What does it feel like? And when we do that, it creates a neurolinguistic connection that becomes stronger and stronger and allows us to make a deep connection with that goal. The goal needs to be achievable. Now, I'm not saying don't reach for the sky. Trust me. Make these goals your dream and your life. What do you want to achieve? Nothing is too big as long as you have a plan to get there. And by a plan, I mean, if it is a massive goal, you need to break that down into bite-sized chunks. Make it into little milestones that you can achieve along the way so that you get closer and closer to that end goal. And make it measurable. If we can't measure that goal, how do we know whether or not we're getting closer and closer to it? Whether it's a money value or whether it's a project, how are we going to keep track of it? How are we going to measure where we are? And how are we going to make the time to measure where we are with that goal? When we think about how we achieve these goals or how do we set them, the best way is to write these goals down. And as we write them down, we can go through different stages. There are lots of different pieces of software, lots of different methodologies to use when we're thinking about our goals. But the main points to think about are clarity. You know, make the goal as simple as possible for you to understand. Eliminate any confusion that comes with it. For example, I'm going to start filling in a one-page plan this month. That doesn't really tell us what you're going to do and how you're going to do it and when you're going to do it. So we need to think about how we structure the goals. It needs to be a challenging goal, something that stretches your mind and causes you to think big. You need to have commitment to the goal. So again, going back to that desire for it, you need to want to the goal. You need to want to be able to commit to it. You need to have the time to commit to it. You need to make the time to commit to it. And then feedback, so tracking and checking the goals. You know, how are you going to track the goals? How are you going to adjust them to your expectations if they aren't on the right path? And how are you going to plan moving forward? And then the task complexity is the final factor. But it's important to set goals that are aligned with our goal complexity. So again, if that goal is too big or too small, you need to be thinking about how you structure it. You know, if it's too small, is there something that you could add on to it? Could you make it bigger? Or are you thinking too small? If it's a big goal, breaking it down into those bite-sized chunks to help you commit to it and help you achieve it. So writing out our goals. So most of you will be familiar with the SMART goals. But as I say, there are different ways and different types that you can write these down with. But this is a really, really good one. So specific. So, you know, simple, sensible, and significant goals. When we think about this, we think about the 5 W's. And those 5 W's are what? What do I want to accomplish? The why. Is this goal important? Why is it important to me? Why am I passionate about it? Who? Who is involved to help you with this goal? Who do you need to be involved? Do you need to let your family know? Do you need to let your work colleagues know? Do you need to let your partner know? Where do you need to achieve this goal? Do you need to be in a different location? Do you need to be at home, in the office? And which resources do you need to achieve this goal? So those are all the things that you can think about when thinking about the specifics of a goal. Measurable. It's important to have those measurable, meaningful, and motivating goals. So how much? How many? How will I know when it's accomplished? These are questions to ask yourself when you're thinking about that. You know, how are you going to stay focused? How are you going to meet the deadlines? How are you going to feel when those deadlines are achieved? And what's going to keep you motivated to go through and achieve that goal? And then achievable. So agreeing and making it attainable. You know, if it is something that you think is out of your reach, how are you going to get there? Make a plan. Nothing is unreachable if you have a plan of how to get there. There might be some setbacks and there might be some issues along the way, but as long as you keep going through that plan and keep adjusting that plan to get you where you need to be, then those goals are achievable. And then number 4, relevant. So they need to be relevant to you. They need to be reasonable to you, realistic, and results-based. So again, I'm not saying don't dream big. All I'm saying is think about the reasonable ways that you can do it, the reasonable timescales that you can do it. Don't decide that next week you want to earn another 500K, because that's not relevant or reasonable or realistic. So just think about them properly. And then the time bound. Is there a time limit on it? When do you want to achieve it? Always put a date. Never put 3 months, 6 months, tomorrow. Always put a date on those timelines, because the brain doesn't really compute when we say, well, in 6 months' time, because when it's 6 months' time, you'll have forgot when you made that goal. So if you put on the 1st of June, I am going to do this, or I'm going to have achieved this, and put it in your calendars. So whenever you put those goals to be achieved, make sure they're there to reassure you and to recalculate whether or not you've achieved them. So how do we find what our goals are? Our dreams, our visions, our plan. How do we get all that information so that we know what it is that we want? And you'd be surprised the amount of people that don't know the answer to that. Why are you doing this? Why did you get up this morning? Why do you run your own business? Why? And just think about that for a minute. Why do you do what you do? Why do you run your own business? What do you want? I'm going to give you a moment to think about that. So we've thought about what we want and why we want it. What I want you to do now is I want you to look back over the last 20, 30 or so years, or however long, and write down 10 achievements in your life. What are the 10 things that you're most proud of? What are the 10 things that you want to boast about? What are the things that bring you joy and happiness? I want you to pause the video right now, about 10 to 15 minutes, and just write down all of those things. So if there are more, great. If there are not, we'll come on to that next. So you've written those achievements down. I just want you to look back at it. And we're now going to create a mind map of your dreams. So if you go to the page in your workbooks that has this mind map on, and I want you to think about, to live a happy and joyful life, what is important to you? What goals do you want to achieve in each of those areas? If there are areas that you want to add into that, you can do. Just cross one off and add it in, or just add another circle. And I want you to take some time to brainstorm. What do you want to accomplish? What do you want to feel? It doesn't have to be sentences. It can just be words or descriptions or destinations. But I want you to go and spend some time and fill that out. And think about what's important to you. Think about those things that you've achieved. Or think about, if the inevitable happened now and you were no longer here, would you be happy with those 10 things that you've achieved? Would you be happy with what you've accomplished so far? And if not, think about what you would be happy. If you were in heaven right now, looking down at that list, what would you want to see your top 10 accomplishments to be? So pause the video, take as much time as you need, and fill out that mind map. And now we're going to go through what matters to you. So we're going to go through a visualization technique. So I'm going to ask you some questions. And what I want you to do is just take some time to think about your answers, visualize your answers, and then write them down. So go to your workbook now and bring up the page that has these questions on. And then I just want you to put your pen down. I want you to sit back, close your eyes and relax. And clench the jaw and just take a big, deep breath. And I want you to tell me and write down, when was the time that you were most happiest? What were you doing? Were there other people? What factors contributed to that happiness? So when you're ready, I want you to pause the video and write down your answer, and then come back to question 2. Question 2. Identify the time when you're the most proudest. What were you proud of? Who did you share it with? And what did it feel like? So again, a nice big deep breath, relax the shoulders, close the eyes. And visualize that place where you were the most proud. So again, I want you to pause the video and write down your answer, and then come back with question 3. So question 3. So again, relax the shoulders, clear the mind, put the pen down. Take a big deep breath, inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the mouth. And I want you to identify the time when you were most fulfilled, most satisfied. When was your heart the fullest that you could burst? What were you doing? Who were you with? And where were you? And again, I want you to pause the video and write your answer down and come back for the next section. So now we're going to think about what matters to you and what is your dream, your why. So those 2 pages that you've just filled in for me, the visualization and the mind map, I want you to rip them out of your workbook for me if it's stapled together and just put them in front of you. And I want you to pause this video and I want you to think about what you really, really want. I want you to dig deep. I want you to think about everything you've written, all those different subjects that you've got on your mind map, all those times when you were happiest, proudest, what were you doing? Think about, what do you want now? What do you really want to achieve? So pause the video and write that down. So hopefully you've written that down. And don't worry if you've not got that reason or that what you want to achieve yet. We're going to do some more work on it, so don't worry. If you have got that reason, I want you to write down when. Again, give me a date, a month, a year, a time. And write down when do you want to have achieved it. Okay. And then I want you to think about, what is the fear or the pain of not achieving it? What does that look like? If you are, in heaven or wherever it may be, and you look down at that list and it's something that you really wanted to achieve and you've not achieved it, how would that feel? And again, just write that down for me. And then on the flip side, I want you to think about, if you achieved it, what would that feel like? How would you feel? How would those around you feel? How would you act? And just write that down for me. So hopefully now we have the thing that you really want to achieve, your goal, your dream, your vision, and by when. And again, don't worry, if not, we're going to do some more work on it, so don't panic. We know what it's going to feel like if we don't achieve it, and we know what it's going to feel like if we do achieve it. But a massive part of that dream and that vision is the journey to get to it. So I want to share a story with you. Myself and my husband did a mountain walk a few months ago. Quite a big hike. We were stood at the bottom. There was quite a few of us, and there was one lady, I didn't really know her, but she was kind of really rearing to go, waiting to get up the hill, and we were all setting off at the same time, so we couldn't go until everybody was ready. And she got talking to us, and she was, I want to be the first up this hill. I can't wait to get to the top. I can't wait to, get up there and see everything and see the scenery. So we all set off. Off she went, and she got to the top. She was the first to get there, but she was that exhausted because she hadn't stopped. She hadn't drank a lot of water. She hadn't had a snack, but she was the first person at the top of that hill, sorry, at the top of that mountain. But when she got there, she was exhausted. All she did was sit down and put her hand on the floor and put her head in between her legs. And she sat there for a good hour. On the other side of that mountain was me and my husband. We had taken a lot longer to get to the top of that mountain because we'd stopped. We'd appreciated the views at every section and walking up that mountain. We'd looked at the wildlife, we'd looked at the flowers, we'd stopped for a rest, we drank, we'd ate. And although it had taken us probably double, maybe triple the amount of time to get to that top of that mountain, when we got there, the views were absolutely breathtaking. And we were able to cherish and enjoy every single moment of achieving that goal. So the point is, it's not always about getting to the goal. It's about the journey along the way. And I really want you to think about that. When we think about these goals and these dreams, you know, yes, they are important. And yes, it is important that we hit them and we reach that goal. But it's also important that we don't forget to live life as we're trying to get to those goals. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go back to basics. And we're going to go back and think about our journey and what it's going to look like. And we're going to do that by aligning with our goals and our values. So in your workbooks, you should have this sheet. And it's words or descriptions. And what I want you to do is to highlight your 10 values, the 10 values that resonate with you, the 10 values that speak to you. I don't want you to overthink it. But what I do want you to do is just take a moment to read through every single one of those words and then go back and highlight 10. So pause the video now and go ahead and do that. So hopefully you've highlighted those words and you've got 10 words highlighted. If it's more, that's fine. If it's less, that's fine, but hopefully you've got 10. So what I would like you to do now is to think about those 10 and the first 2 that are on the list. I want you to put them side by side. Okay. Now I want you to think about which one you would choose. If I could satisfy one of these words, which one would it be? It might help to visualize a situation where you've got both of those options. And which one would you pick? And keep working through that list by comparing each of the values until you've got a list of 5, which you'll write on the next page. If you're struggling between 2 of the words, it might be a good idea to give them both a score. And then the highest one is the one that resonates with you the most. It's really important to identify and prioritize your values. So investing time in this step is definitely worthwhile. And it's one of the hardest and difficult ones that people struggle with. But I want you to pause the video and take 10, 15 minutes or longer and go through and come out with your 5 values. So what I want you to do now is to write down again your why. And then I want you to look back at the list of values that you've just highlighted and the list of values that you've just written down, those top 5. And look at that big thing that you really want. Do those values meet that goal? Are they aligned with it? Do they make you feel good about yourself? Are you proud of those values? Would you be happy to share those values with others? So again, I want you to pause the video and go through and have a look at your goal and your dream and have a look at those values. So I want you to remember that your personal values are a central point of who you are and who you want to be. And always remember to believe in your vision and your values. By becoming more aware of these important factors in our life, you can use them as a guide to make better choices and to understand what situation you're in and identify ways to achieve them. And this goal and these values can help you to set your goals for the next day, week, or month. Another thing I want you to remember is your goals may change. And that's why it's so important to revisit them. You know, as we go through life, priorities change, personal circumstances change, and it's okay that those goals change, as long as those goals don't change because it's too hard or it's too difficult. It's your vision and it needs to be kept with your life. And it needs to be in focus with your life. So if you need to change it, then change it. Keep revisiting it and keep realigning it with your life. And what I want you to do now is pause the video. And I want you to create a vision board of those values. Because when we see a constant visual reminder of our vision or our goals, it's how your subconscious mind stays focused on them. Creating a vision board gives you a visual way to see your goals and developing a mindset to help you reach them on a daily basis. Now, there are a few ways you can do this. You can go and grab some magazines and cut out the pictures or the words that speak to you and the ones that represent your values. You can do a Google search and you can put all the images in a Word document. You can use systems such as Canva. I've got a really good template. So you could go online and search for the words that speak to you or the pictures that describe your value the best. And you can save them in a document and then you can upload them to Canva and Canva will put them in a template for you. So to do that, you can right click on the images and save them in your desktop or just put them straight onto that Word document and then you can have a bit of play around with it, get creative with it, you know, change the colours, make it how. This is something that you're going to be seeing on a regular basis, so make it speak to you. So I'm going to give you some examples. So it could literally just be pictures. It could be post-its, words that you've written, inspirational quotes, celebrities, books that you want to read. It could be anything, whatever speaks to you and however it speaks to you. Have it displayed where you can see it. Okay, this one obviously is in front of the desk. I've got mine in front of my desk. I've also got mine as a desktop. So when I walk away from my desk, my screensaver comes on and it's my vision board. And then when I come back to it, that vision is there for me to look at and remind myself what my goals are. Because that's going to bring you closer to those goals and those visions. So I'm going to give you an example of one that I've done. I have done this using a Canva template. So here are mine. So the things that are important to me. This was a vision board that I did at the beginning of the year, and I wanted something to represent what was important to me and what was meaningful to me for the next year. My first one was family. So my family are my absolute rock. So having pictures of those makes me smile when I look at it. It makes me remember why I do what I do. Yoga is a big part of my life. Meditation makes me sane. As silly as that may sound to some people that don't understand meditation, but it really does ground me. I love being outside. You know, nature is a big part of my life, especially my family life. As a family, we love to get outside and go hiking and exploring, and the kids absolutely love getting muddied up. And then helping people. I love to think that I've made someone's life better or given them an idea or inspired them. I like making a difference to people. And this is what reminds me of that. So you can display them wherever you want. You can have different vision boards. You can have them for your goals, for your values. You can have a family one. You can have a personal one. You can have a business one. They are really, really good and so powerful to have around the house, the office, wherever. I think I've got one next to my desk. I've got one next to my bed, so that when I wake up in the morning, that's the first thing that I see. There's one downstairs on the fridge. So again, when I go downstairs, a big one for me is nature. A lot of us go through the day and forget that there's an outside world. So by having that on the fridge, I remind myself, get outside, go take a break. This is the thing that you love to do, and it makes you feel so much better when you've done it. So really think about, your values, those 5 words that you've written down. How do we describe those? What makes you think of those things? If it's just the words, that's fine. You can just write those words down and put little statements with them if you want to, or you can do pictures to help visualize that word or that feeling or, that thing that you want to give to a customer. If you want someone to see you powerful, how is that envisioned in your head? What makes you think of powerful or emotional? What makes people think that you're emotional? What's the word that would use to describe that, or the picture that would use to describe that? So pause the video and go and do your vision board. So hopefully you've done that vision board and it's printed out or it's ready to be printed out. Now we're going to think about the goals. Okay, I want you to take some time and pause the video to think about what goals you want to achieve over the next 11 months or whenever during the year you do this. Or it can be 12 months, it can be whatever you want to achieve. And in the workbook, you've got 8 slots, but I want a minimum of 3 goals. So just brain dump, write 8 things down that you want to achieve. And then what I want you to do is on the next few pages, there are some smart sections. I want you to write down 3 of those goals and commit to doing 3 of those goals. Turn them into a SMART goal. So think about those 5 W's, think about measuring, meaningful, what's going to motivate you, how are you going to achieve them, you know, how are you going to know when they're hit, what's resonating with you, what's going to be realistic, and time-wise, you know, when do you want to achieve it? It might be that all 3 different goals are a different timeline. That's perfectly fine. But come out of this with 3 solid goals that you want to achieve and you're going to commit to. Don't just write down 3 for this workshop. Write down 3 that you want to achieve and that you are going to achieve. So pause the video now and do that exercise. So then I want you to take those 3 goals and do another vision board. So for each goal, we can add all 3 onto one vision board. What is going to help you get to those visions? Or what does that vision look like? What does that goal look like? Find those 3 goals that you're going to achieve and show yourself what it looks like. What does it feel like? So pause it now and go and do that vision board. So well done on creating those 2 vision boards. If they resonate with you, that is absolutely brilliant. If you find that you print them out and then they don't quite resonate, or a picture's not right, or a word's not right, then go in and change them. And I want you to remember that during the next few months, they may change, and that is perfectly fine. Your goals may change, your thought process may change, your priorities may change. And this is why we track them, okay? So right now, I want you to go to your calendars and I want you to set a date for 4 weeks' time. And I want you to review those 3 goals. I want you to set a date for 12 months' time. And I want you to reassess the values and the vision that you have. So we are constantly tracking and tracing these goals and changing them if we need to. Now, don't be afraid if these goals are scary, if you get worried a little bit, or you get a bit of a flutter in your tummy when you think about these goals. That's perfectly fine and natural. Commit to those goals. That is what you want to achieve. That is what you want to leave this life of achieving. You want to do it for you and you alone. There may be other people that are impacted on these goals, but it's for you. So just remember that change is perfectly normal, as long as it brings you closer to your goal. So the next step I want you to do is to put your vision and your 3 goals in Coach Accountable. Upload your vision board to Coach Accountable and print off your vision board. Share your vision board with your colleagues, your friends, your partners, anybody that you want to share it with, so they can hold you accountable. And share your goals with those around you. Tell them what you want to achieve. The more we talk about these things and the more we tell people, the more accountable we are and the more excitement it builds and the more likely we are to achieve them. And review and revisit these goals. You know, use your practice growth experts. This is the reason that I'm telling you to upload all these goals, so they know what you're trying to achieve. They know what your vision is. And we are constantly helping you to achieve all of it. So remember, you are the creator of your own destiny. The only person that can change things is you. Yes, there may be bumps and circumstances that you don't have any control over, but as long as you keep pushing and keep control of your goals and your values and your dream, you will get there. Thank you.